Hey everyone, and welcome back to Binge Guide. I'm Andrew.
Hi, everyone.
And with me, as always, is Victoria.
I'm so glad to be back.
We help you find the next show to add to your watch list, and today we are doing a deep dive on the film Young Hearts.
Ooh, yes. Young Hearts.
Should be an interesting one.
I'm excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, so we've got a review from Bright Light's Film Journal.
Okay.
We've got the trailer itself.
Love it.
And we took a quick peek at the Wikipedia page.
Nice. A good set of sources.
Yeah, so Young Hearts is a coming-of-age drama
Okay.
about Elias, a 14-year-old boy who falls for his new neighbor, Alexander, who is also 14.
Got it.
And the interesting thing about this film is that it seems to be a very authentic take on young love,
Interesting.
without all the cliches that we normally see in
Yeah.
teen romance.
Yeah, what really struck me was how well they capture just that initial awkwardness, that innocent phase of first love.
Right.
And especially within the context of a young LGBTQ plus relationship, it just feels so hopeful and honest, which is honestly such a refreshing change from some of the darker, more mature approaches we've seen in other films like Heartstone or North Sea, Texas.
Yeah, it seems like Young Hearts really fills a gap
Yeah.
in coming-of-age films.
For sure.
The Bright Lights review even talks about how rare it is to find a film that portrays young queer love in a way that doesn't feel forced or cringy, as they put it.
Totally agree with that. It's so important for young people, especially those who are maybe questioning their own identities, to see these experiences reflected on screen in a way that feels relatable and authentic.
Yeah, the setting in this film is interesting too.
Tell me about it.
Elias lives in this picture-perfect Belgian village,
Oh, wow.
all sunshine and rolling hills.
Sounds idyllic.
And it contrasts sharply with Alexander's background, who is from Brussels, which is obviously much more of an urban environment.
Oh, interesting.
So you kind of get this clash of worlds happening.
Right away, you can kind of feel that tension and excitement building just from their different environments.
Yeah, and then you have this actor, Lou Goossens, who plays Elias, and he's getting rave reviews.
I've heard good things.
The review talks about his ability to convey such subtle shifts in emotion.
Yeah.
Just imagine that moment when a young person is first coming to terms with their feelings and all those unspoken fears and anxieties that come with that.
Oh, absolutely.
He just apparently nails it.
That's incredible.
It sounds like there's a lot going on beneath the surface for Elias.
Yeah.
He's dealing with this budding romance with Alexander, but also struggling with his own identity. And what's really interesting is that the film doesn't resort to portraying overt homophobia or, stereotypical bullies.
Right. It takes a much subtler approach, which I think makes it even more powerful.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on this outward conflict, it really turns inward, exploring those internal struggles and anxieties that so many young people face, regardless of their sexual orientation.
Right. It's kind of like this pressure to conform, even when you're surrounded by loving and accepting people. There's this scene where Elias is talking to his dad about girls.
Okay.
And the Bright Lights review mentions that it really makes Elias question everything.
Wow.
It's a seemingly harmless conversation, but it highlights how these subtle messages can impact a young person's self-perception.
Oh, for sure.
And then there's also this whole thing on the Wikipedia page about Elias actually dating a girl named Valerie.
Oh, interesting.
So you have to wonder, is he trying to convince himself that he's straight?
Right.
Is he just trying to fit in with what everyone else expects of him?
It's those quiet moments, those unspoken expectations that can sometimes be the most challenging to navigate.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this film so relevant, even in today's world where same-sex marriage is legal and more widely accepted. These subtle forms of heteronormativity can still linger,
Yeah.
making it difficult for young people to fully embrace their true selves.
Yeah, and it's not just happening with Elias either. The film shows Alexander's side of things too. He comes from a more bohemian, free-spirited family in Brussels. So you can imagine that being different might be a little bit more readily accepted there.
I could see that.
But even then, there's this underlying tension. This sense that he's still trying to figure out who he is and where he belongs.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that the journey of self-discovery is rarely straightforward.
Right.
There are always those internal and external pressures to contend with, and I think the film does a really great job of capturing that complexity.
Yeah, and all of this leads up to this pivotal moment where Elias comes out to his mother.
Okay.
And what's interesting here is that, according to the review, his family's reaction isn't this huge dramatic thing.
Oh, wow.
It's more like, we love you no matter what.
It's almost as if they already knew, but even with that pre-existing acceptance, the scene is still incredibly moving
Right.
because it captures that vulnerability of revealing such a personal part of yourself.
Yeah, that vulnerability is so relatable. Even if you're lucky enough to have a supportive family, sharing that part of yourself can still be terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
You never know how people will react, even the ones you love the most.
And it's powerful how he comes out. He doesn't use labels or try to define himself. He simply says, I'm in love with Alexander.
Yeah.
It shifts the focus from societal categories to the individual to the pure emotion of love.
Right, and it allows the audience to connect with the characters on a human level without the story being weighed down by societal expectations or political debates.
Exactly.
It normalizes the experience of young queer love.
For sure.
The Bright Lights review actually pointed out that the film avoids explicit sexual content.
Interesting.
And they argued that this adds to the film's purity
Okay.
and makes it more accessible to a wider audience,
I see that.
which is kind of a bold choice.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in a world where media often pushes boundaries. I think it's a choice that aligns perfectly with the film's overall tone and message. It keeps the focus on that emotional connection between Elias and Alexander, allowing the story to unfold with a sense of innocence and wonder that might be lost if it delved into more mature themes.
Right.
And it also makes it a film that families can watch together,
Yeah.
which could spark important conversations and help foster understanding.
Speaking of family, let's talk about the supporting characters a little bit.
Okay.
Elias's family seems to play a pretty significant role in the film.
Yeah.
His dad's a well-known singer, according to the Wikipedia page.
Okay.
And there's this really heartwarming scene where his grandfather shares a story about his own love for his late wife.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's a really beautiful moment, almost like a passing of the torch from one generation to the next.
Love that.
Showing Elias that true love is something to be cherished and fought for no matter the obstacles.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the greatest lessons come from the wisdom and experiences of those who've come before us.
For sure. And then you have Alexander's family, who are a little bit more free-spirited and bohemian.
Right.
His uncle Tony lives with his partner.
Okay.
So it's just another layer of representation in the film without making it a central focus.
I like that it's just about showcasing different family structures and showing that love and acceptance can manifest in various ways.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It reinforces that overall message of inclusivity and normalizing diverse experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no film is perfect, and Young Hearts does have its critics.
Oh, really?
The Bright Lights review mentioned that certain moments can feel a bit too sentimental.
Okay.
For instance, there's a scene with a drag queen
Oh,
where Elias has this kind of epiphany about his feelings for Alexander.
okay.
And the review argued that it felt a little forced and didn't quite fit with the film's otherwise nuanced approach.
I can see how that might not resonate with everyone. It seems like an attempt to inject a grand symbolic moment into the narrative, but it might come across as a bit heavy-handed, especially for a younger audience who might not fully grasp the cultural significance of drag.
Right, and it's interesting that the review specifically called out that scene
Yeah.
because the rest of the film is praised for its subtlety and emotional depth.
Right, so it's a bit of a tonal inconsistency.
Yeah, like they tried to create a big moment when the film's strength really lies in its quiet observations and intimate character interactions.
Yeah, I agree.
The review also highlighted the music by Ruben de Gazelle, saying it beautifully complements the emotional journey of the characters.
I love when a score can do that.
Me too. And the trailer gives us a little glimpse of that score.
Oh,
It's very ethereal and dreamy, perfectly capturing that sense of youthful wonder and the intensity of first love. And the cinematography, too, seems noteworthy.
Okay.
The film is set in this idyllic Belgian village with lush greenery and sun-drenched landscapes, which just adds to the romantic and nostalgic feel.
It's refreshing to see a queer coming-of-age story that embraces a visual aesthetic that's bright and hopeful. It challenges that tendency for these narratives to be portrayed in a darker, more somber light.
It's a visual reminder that these stories can be joyful and life-affirming, not just about overcoming adversity or societal prejudice.
Exactly, and that's an important message to convey, especially to young people who might be struggling with their own identities.
So we've covered the plot, the characters, some of the critical reception.
We have.
But let's take a step back and consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
What does Young Hearts tell us about the state of queer cinema today?
The Bright Lights review argues that Young Hearts represents a new era in queer filmmaking.
Yeah.
It moves away from the tropes and struggles that have dominated these narratives in the past
Right.
and embraces the normalcy and joy of young LGBTQ plus love.
It's not just a great film, it's kind of a cultural milestone. It pushes the boundaries of representation and opens doors for more diverse and authentic stories to be told.
Absolutely. It's a sign that things are shifting, that there's a growing appetite for stories that reflect the complexities and nuances of LGBTQ plus experiences without resorting to stereotypes or sensationalism.
And it's not just about catering to a specific audience, it's about telling human stories that resonate with everyone.
Right, and showing that these stories can be universal and appeal to a wide audience without losing their specificity or authenticity.
So for our listeners, what's the takeaway here?
Yeah.
Why should they care about Young Hearts?
Well, if you're looking for a heartwarming and thought-provoking film that explores the complexities of young love and self-discovery, Young Hearts is definitely worth checking out.
Especially if you're tired of the same old tropes and want to see a fresh perspective on LGBTQ plus representation in film.
Exactly. It's a film that celebrates love in all its forms and reminds us that even in a world that can feel increasingly divided, there's still beauty to be found in human connection.
But here's a question, though. The Bright Lights review brought this up.
Okay.
Does the film's focus on a more accepting environment, accurately reflect the realities for all young LGBTQ plus individuals today?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And it's something viewers should definitely consider.
Right.
While Young Hearts presents a hopeful and optimistic vision, it's crucial to acknowledge that experiences within the LGBTQ plus community are diverse.
Yeah.
Not everyone encounters the same level of acceptance or support.
Exactly. Even in places where same-sex marriage is legal and embraced by many, some young people still face discrimination, bullying, and lack of understanding, sometimes even within their own families and communities.
It really highlights the fact that progress isn't a straight line.
Right.
There's still work to be done to create a world where every LGBTQ plus individual feels safe, accepted, and celebrated for who they are, regardless of their age or background.
So for our listeners out there, why should you watch Young Hearts? Well, first of all, it's a beautiful film that will stay with you long after the credits roll.
I agree.
It's not just about romance. It's about self-discovery, family dynamics, and the search for belonging.
And even if the film doesn't perfectly mirror everyone's experience, it offers a valuable opportunity for reflection.
Yeah.
It invites us to consider our own biases, the ways we might consciously or unconsciously contribute to heteronormative pressures, and how we can foster a more inclusive environment for everyone.
Young Hearts is more than just entertainment. It's a conversation starter.
For sure.
It might make you think differently about the world around you, the people in your life, and even yourself.
And who knows, maybe it'll even inspire you to check out some of the other films we mentioned, like Heartstone or North Sea, Texas.
Yeah.
Expanding your cinematic horizons can lead to some pretty amazing discoveries.
So there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into Young Hearts. We hope we've given you a better sense of what to expect and maybe even sparked your curiosity.
Definitely.
If you're looking for the next show to add to your watch list, this could be it.
And remember, you can always count on Binge Guide to help you navigate the world of film and TV.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Happy watching.